And we are live. There we go. How are you
Hello.
doing, Marina?
I'm great. Ready for today.
Yeah, Nostr hack. It's kicking off now,
I'm going to have a lot of questions later, but I'm sure
huh?
Eric is going to help us.
Well, funny enough, that's what
I'm
this.
going to have a lot of questions later, but I'm sure Eric is going to help us.
Well, I think we have some technical difficulties here. Yeah, we got to sort it out. I think there was a stream happening in the background there. I think we have some technical difficulties here. Testing one, two. Okay, we're good now. Sorry, that was my fault. Well, we're off to a great start. That's typical for pretty much most of Bolt Fun, Bolt Fun events. It's all about making public oopsies, right? So yeah, we are kicking off some of our streams for the week about the hackathon, Nostr Hack. Marina, you said
Learning by
that.
doing.
Yeah, you're recently coming down the purple rabbit hole. What did he call it just now?
Purple pilled, right? I was
Yeah,
hearing
you
that
got
that's
purple
maybe the
pill.
new terminology.
Yeah. There's a bunch of new terminology in the space now, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hopefully we're gonna be breaking it down with our guest today, Eric. He's gonna be giving a presentation on a one-on-one on Noster, right? So we're gonna find out, answer all your questions about what that whole thing is. Now, Marina, what kind of challenges have you been having with it?
Well, first of all, I'm very excited. There's 116 builders and designers that are on the hackathon already, and there's 32 projects that have signed up. I think it's still time for them to register, right? If they wanted to do something quickly, and so that's why we're doing this event. That's like a 101 in case you want to join. And what kind of questions I had? I didn't know what a client was. I'm still mystified completely by the relays. Like, I get the relays are like highways that you get to different places and they help broadcast, but I'm not really sure the whole concept of how to
How to
pick the
Nostr?
best, how to pick the best relays exactly. And obviously the public versus private closed uh, channels, and that debate is quite interesting. But the possibilities are really incredible, and I think that's what's been why I do feel a little purple pilled.
Yeah, I mean, apparently the protocol's been around for like a couple years now, and in the past few months, like over Christmas, it has just taken off. It has completely taken off. And, after a ban from Twitter and an endorsement from Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really gone far. And, I think the excitement in the builder space is something that I'm really, really excited for myself because, now we're able to see kind of like, um, you know Bitcoin being utilized on a platform that's not dependent on like whatever bureaucracy that larger corporations might have, or financial motives, like for example, somebody wants to launch their own coin or something like that, instead of using Bitcoin. So I find it exciting that Nostr is like so adjacent to Bitcoin and the communities and stuff like that. Shout out to Fiat Jaff, who has been, like writing up specs and pushing all these different tools um, around Nostr and around Lightning for the past few years. Things like Lightning Address, things like, I guess Lightning Address was from ZBD, but the underlying thing from that is LNURL specs. There's LNURL withdrawal, pay, channel, bunch of cool stuff. So, now we have all these little building blocks like Legos that you can kind of like put together in a cool use case now, and I'm super excited about this.
And that you can
Anyway,
go cross-platform, right? That's going to be
yeah,
extremely unique for the space.
yeah, exactly.
Or across clients, correct? Clients.
That is very true. All this different terminology, it's like it's really difficult to kind of like figure out what is what because this is all so new. This is like very, very new. And design has a big part to play in it as well. On this hackathon, we have two tracks. We have a builder track and a design track. And we're wanting to encourage like people who are just wanting to do visual explorations, maybe copywriters, to address some of these terminology things, to explore what could be done beyond social networking in Nostr, perhaps, or fix that problem that you just mentioned about which relay do I choose and what's my relationship to them. And that's, I think, a pretty good segue into one of the partners on this project, on this hackathon, which is the Nostr design community. And maybe Eric could talk a little bit about that. Eric, what's up?
Hey, can you guys hear me? Can you see my
Perfect.
screen and everything?
Thank you.
Loud and
Perfect.
clear.
Oh, perfect. Well, as John said, my name's Eric. I'm helping out with the Nostr design community, and we're partnering with Bolt Fun for the Nostr Hackathon and the Hack Week, the Hack 2 weeks, where we're gonna basically try to push design and new projects forward, get them some spotlight, and build up the ecosystem a little bit. And like John had said, this is kind of a new space. It's a new protocol that took off really about a week before Christmas, a week or two before Christmas. And since then, it's just a lot of new users, a lot of steam, but it's still a very engineer heavy space. A lot of the builders are very hardcore, competent, smart, brilliant developers, brilliant cryptographers, brilliant coders. But because it's so new, there aren't yet a lot of designers, a lot of copywriters, a lot of kind of product people looking at Nostr. And that has been changing over the course of the last few weeks. But what we want to do at the Nostr design community is try to inspire that a little bit more by creating a space where designers or individuals with a design focus from a product lens or graphic design lens or UX, UI point of view can organize, can share projects, feedback, resources, have little events like this hackathon and this 101 session. So I want to take the next couple minutes to just explain at a very high level what Nostr is, how the infrastructure works, what are some of the problems that it solves, how it achieves some of its goals, and and some examples of what current clients are, and some resources on how you can get started. So we're calling this session Nostr 101, and we'll go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah, let me me and Marina are gonna go backstage now and you get and we'll give you the stage, okay?
Okay, awesome. If you need to message me, just ping me on Telegram because I'm sharing my screen.
Perfect.
So cool.
All right, we're gonna hop off now and the stage will be yours.
So I'll just jump in. I'll jump right in. So Nostr 101, let's jump into it. So at a high level, what is Nostr? You've been hearing it, you've been hearing about this. Like Nostr is a protocol that stands for notes and other stuffs transmitted by relay. So that's the key word there. It's a protocol. So that means that it's an open standard in which anyone can participate and can build on. Kind of like TCP/IP or HTTP. It's not something that's owned by any one person or one company. It's an open standard that anyone can be a part of and use. So that means that Nostr, it's not an app. It's not like Twitter. It's not like Facebook. It's not like Instagram. It's not an app or a service that you have to register and get permission to use. What in order to connect with Nostr, you use what are called clients, which I'll jump into in a little bit. But at its core, all Nostr is a messaging protocol. It's a way for anyone to be able to broadcast messages, and then anyone can use a client to basically read these messages. So it's extremely, extremely simple. I'll show an example of the objects that kind of make up the Nostr protocol. In this case, there's only one object. So I'll show how simple it is. And also something that's really refreshing, at least to me, is that there's no blockchain or there's no token involved. One of the things that Nostr tries to achieve is decentralization. And we've been kind of told a lot in the last couple of years that in order to be decentralized, you need a blockchain, you need to have an immutable ledger, or you need this token to achieve decentralization. I think that Nostr shows an example of why you don't, or you don't always need, you don't need an immutable blockchain to achieve decentralization. There are plenty of decentralized things that don't require a blockchain, like Tor, like BitTorrent. And I love that Nostr kind of didn't try to overcomplicate things and just jump onto a hot buzzword like, oh, blockchain technology, or attach a token to it to try to make money. This was very, very protocol focused. So the first thing I think that is important to understand with Nostr is that in order to create what's called like an account, you need to generate a key. And what that is basically like a login. So the different clients allow you to generate keys. There's two types of keys, and these are called, the two types of keys are a key pair. So an easy way to think about this is that a private key is kind of like your password. So if you generate your private key and you lose your password and you forget it, you'll never be able to log into your account again. So same thing, if somebody gets access to your private key, they can basically take over your account. So that already introduces a lot of design considerations, as we can imagine. How do we kind of teach people this? How do we onboard users to what it means to basically be responsible for keeping cryptographic secrets? Most people are used to having a password where if something goes wrong, you can contact the service, you can email someone, and they'll help you recover your password. And there's a kind of a built-in safety net in case you mess up. With Nostr, there is none of that. If you lose your private key, you lose your account. If someone else gains access to your private key, they gain access to your account. So private key management is really, really important. And with a private key, you can also generate what's called a public key. A public key is very, very safe to share. So this is something that you can just throw out there. And a public key is basically like your username. It's something that somebody can enter, and then they can see your Nostr account. They can't compromise it. They can't post messages that are from you, but they can see all the messages that you have sent out with your public key. And this is an example of what they look like. So when you use a client to generate a public key, it'll generate something that looks like this. It's a long string of numbers, and you'll have a key pair. So there's a public key and a private key. So, and this is what you're going to use to access your Nostr account across any client. So it doesn't matter if you're using a client on your iPhone, and then let's say that client goes out of business or that client gets shut down. As long as you have your private key, you can just download another client on your computer, or you can download another client on your Android device, and you just enter your private key, and all your information, all your account is going to be there. So that's kind of one way that it attempts to achieve decentralization, is by using a private public key pair combination. So once you understand, what it means to have an account on Nostr, I think it's important to understand the infrastructure at a high level. So there's two kind of main components to Nostr. There's clients and relays. So clients are kind of the user interface that you use to read and write data to what are called relays. So you can think of a client kind of like an application. I think the easiest way to imagine it is think of Twitter. Twitter is a client, right? When you log on to Twitter with your username and password, you get access to this interface that lets you send tweets, it lets you repost stuff, it lets you kind of interact with the Twitter database. So with Nostr, there are different types of clients that you can use to interact with the Nostr protocol. And in addition to clients, there are what are called relays, which are basically like databases. So when you log in with your private key, with your account onto a client, you can then send messages to databases, which are called relays. And anyone that is connected to any of those databases and you connect to them through your client, they can see your messages and they can see what you post. So by using kind of these two components, clients and relays, you can start to imagine how we can kind of build out a network that allows people to broadcast messages in a way that is a little bit more decentralized. And let me give you a visual example of what clients look like. So on the left here, you see Twitter. This is probably what we're kind of familiar with. And you have your kind of account here and you have your feed. And there are different types of Nostr clients. So over here on the right, you have 3 different types of Nostr clients. There's Damus, which is an iOS app that's very popular. As you can see, Damus has been kind of tailored to have a little bit of a look and feel kind of like Twitter. The messages that people are posting on the Nostr protocol are coming in a timeline vertical feed, kind of like Twitter. There's a web app called snort.social that again maybe looks a little bit kind of like Twitter, where there's like a timeline and you have the users, their messages, and you can interact with them in different ways. And you can send private messages, you can search for stuff, get alerts when someone interacts with you. And these are 2 examples of different clients. There's another client called Astro.Ninja, and you can see that this client has a different look and feel, but it's all kind of the same. It's doing the same thing. It's allowing you to view and interact with the Nostr protocol. You can see messages are going to be displayed on here. You can broadcast your own messages. You can send encrypted messages to someone else. You can kind of perform the core functionality of the Nostr protocol across any of these clients. And if any of these clients ever gets shut down, there's a bunch of clients out there. So you never have to worry about relying on one client to basically manage your Nostr experience. And that's very different than Twitter. To illustrate that difference, I want to kind of try to show how relays work and what the difference is between how Nostr manages relays or databases and how Twitter manages them. So over here on the left, if you can imagine, Twitter is a closed ecosystem, right? You register an account with Twitter and then they own your account. And when you make posts or you send tweets onto Twitter, those tweets are then sent down here to the Twitter database and they basically store those tweets under their terms forever. But one of the issues with this is, let's say that this guy in the middle, he sends some tweets that violate Twitter's rules, or maybe he says some things that upset the owner of Twitter, whoever that is, if it's Elon Musk or if it's a board. If he posts some information that Twitter doesn't like, Twitter can very easily remove this person's account, remove this person's tweets so no one can see them, and they can also delete them from the database so nobody can go back and see what they were. And the reason that they can do this is because Twitter is in control of their server. They're in control of their database. It's their ecosystem, and you don't really have a choice. The only thing that you can do is choose to use it or not. And how does Nostr kind of compare against this? So if you can imagine, this is an example of kind of the Nostr infrastructure. Over here at the bottom left, we have this person called Bob. And let's say they're using the client Damus on their iPhone. And Bob is connected to one relay or one server. Bob can write messages. He can read other messages that anyone else who's connected to the server is sending. And with Nostr, you can connect to multiple relays. So you can connect to multiple servers. So Bob is also connected to another relay, relay number 2. And when Bob sends messages, his messages are sent to both relays. So let's say that the owner of relay number 1 or something happens to relay number 1 and relay number 1 gets knocked down, right? In that case, it won't matter because Bob is also broadcasting his messages to relay number 2. And Alice, who is, someone else that's also connected to relay number 2, in her case, it won't matter that Bob's messages that were sent to relay number 1 got taken down because she was connected to Bob's other relay. They were connected to the same relay, the secondary relay, and they can still interact with each other. So you can see how by having people connect to multiple different servers or relays, it builds a little bit of a more decentralized nature, and it makes it a lot harder for basically one person to get rid of another person's ability to speak, because Alice or Bob can connect to as many relays as they want, And it's unlikely that every single relay is going to basically remove Bob or go down. So, and Bob can also run his own relay if he wants to, and then anyone can just connect to his relay directly. So it makes it a lot harder to prevent someone from sending a message on Nostr. So what are some of the problems that this kind of network solves? I think that the most kind of obvious one is that a user can't really be banned. They could be kicked off of a relay, but you can't ever stop someone from using Nostr. You can't revoke someone's key from working and sending messages to the protocol. So that's really, really good because it prevents, it makes it a little bit more censorship resistant, where no single relay can basically revoke the power of one person to speak, because one person connects multiple relays, and anyone who likes that person, well, they can just follow all the relays that that person is broadcasting to, and then there's a little bit of redundancy built in. Another thing that Nostr can potentially fix is the issue of spam. Right now, it's very, very cheap to spam, depending on what website or where you're sending your spam to. A lot of times there's no cost to spam. With Nostr, if you run a relay, you can actually set it up so that someone might have to either pay to join the relay, a very small fee. It could be like 1 cent or half a cent to join that relay or to send a message to that relay. And to a regular person, half a cent actually won't matter at all. But if you're someone that's trying to spam and basically run a bunch of bots, that half a cent can add up quickly and basically make it cost ineffective for you to be spamming. Another cool thing about Nostr is it opens up the door for client diversity and different experiences. And this is where I think designers really, really have like a playground to run free with. So Damus and Snort.social, they're Twitter-like in their UX, in their user experience, and in their look and feel. But since Nostr is just a messaging protocol, at its core, all it is a way for people to send messages. It doesn't necessarily have to look and feel like Twitter. You can imagine that somebody can build something kind of like Slack or Telegram, an instant message interface that's using Nostr on the back end. And you can even make that private. So let's say that Bolt.fun, they want to run an internal private company Nostr relay, and the only people that can access it are the people that Bolt.fun whitelist, and they can build it and design it so that it functions like a chat, where they're just using Nostr to send messages to their private relays, and only the Bolt.fun people can interact with those private relays. So it could also basically make it so that anyone can have access to a chat-like client that's free and open source. And Nostr is also scalable. So the architecture at Nostr, it can scale to host large file types, like very, very large videos and very, very large photos. If any one of the large data providers or data centers, if they wanted to run a Nostr relay and invest in the resources to increase the bandwidth, to increase the size and make it, very, very powerful and give it the ability to host these larger file types, they can. There's no inherent built-in limitations to the architecture to account for a larger, more scalable form of experience with Nostr. And I want to get a little bit more advanced here, but not too much, because it is a 101. But when I mentioned that users, when you're basically sending a message in Nostr, so what you're doing is you're sending what's called like a kind one, which is kind of like a short text note. And with Nostr, there's only one object in the Nostr protocol, and that's what you see here on the right. And I'm not very technical, so I'll probably butcher some of the terminology here. But all it is at its core is a piece of JSON, a piece of code here that identifies who created it, what kind of message they're sending. It verifies the signature, the time that it's created, and basically what the content is. So this is it. These 7 or 8 lines are pretty much all of what the Nostr protocol consists of. And there's different kinds of events. So over here you see kind one. So kind one is a short text message, but there's also kind two, kind three, kind four, kind five, and the community can also propose new kind of events if they want to kind of build it out in a more open source way through NIPS. So it allows the protocol to grow, and it allows people to send other pieces of information instead of just short pieces of text. If you want to get started with Nostr and learn more, I really recommend the site nostr.how. That's a very, very good, well-organized resource that breaks it down in very, very easy to digest ways with a very smooth navigation, so you can kind of learn about Nostr, get real examples of links to clients, links to relays, resources, stuff like that. Some clients that you can download and start using now right away. Damus is a very popular one. It's available in the iOS store. That one is one I showed earlier. It's like a Twitter-like experience. There's also Iris, which is available on web and iOS. Snort.social, you can access on your website, on your desktop or laptop. And there's Amethyst as well, which is available on Android. So you can use any of these right now, generate your public and private key, and start sending messages to the Nostr protocol. And if you want to get a little bit more advanced, you can go to GitHub, github.com/nostr-protocol/Nostr. And you can actually look in depth at the code. You can look at the issues, you can look at the comments, and you can really, really get into the weeds of Nostr from an engineering point of view by looking at the official GitHub repository. So that's kind of the 101. I'd love to invite John and Mariana back up, so maybe we can open the floor for questions. If anyone has typed any comments into the chat, we can address them.
Hey, that was awesome. That was a great presentation. I'm gonna
Thanks, Jones.
Marina, do you mind asking some questions? Because I'm very interested in what your perspective is now. Coming into Nostr, we had a bunch of questions relating to relays and what they are. I'm just gonna leave you there to pick everything and try to
I'll do my
answer some of
best.
this. Yeah, let's see how this goes, guys.
Sure. So thank you. The relays make a lot more sense. I still don't know how to prioritize. Like, how do I pick which ones I should be on?
Yeah.
Because obviously clients, it just depends where you log in, whether it's your desktop, whether it's your phone, or if you have Android or Apple. That I get, but the relay still, like, I have 11. I don't know if I'm on the right 11. The one way that I thought of hacking that was to see a few people that I respect in the space and look at what relays they had, and then adding them to my account. So that was one way. Maybe there's a better way. And then a second question for you, which I'm not very clear of how to connect to the whole zapping and sending and sats and connecting your wallet, because I was looking at that right now, and it tells me, okay, connect your wallet, and you can pick several, but it doesn't actually send you a link to your wallet. It just says, Breeze or Wallet of Satoshi. Like, it just gives you the options. I don't see it connecting, so I'm not clear if I'm doing it wrong.
So for the first part of the question, when it's how do you discover relays? How do you make sure you're connected to the right relays? How do you make sure that you're basically,
I should pay for one, like you say, no?
Yeah. Should you even? Right now, my experience is very similar to yours, where I actually just went to people that I respect also in the community. I looked at what relays they're following, and I joined them. That's one of the design challenges that we have right now is relay management, and that's one that we flag specifically as one of the major ones, because we think that there could be a better UX or a better user interface that clearly shows what are the relays out there? What do they specialize in? Are there any metrics? Do some have spam prevention features? Do others not have spam prevention features? Who are some of the people that are connected to them? What are they rated? All these are just stuff I'm throwing out there, but the point I'm trying to illustrate is that we need to basically have some sort of relay management or relay organization interface either built into the clients, or maybe it's something that's separate that you can go to and do your research on. Because right now, at this early stage, it very much is let me see where the people that I follow and trust are. If 9 out of 10 people that I like are connected to these 7 relays. Well, I'm gonna join these 7.
Yeah. Oh, I did say recommended for you. Like I saw something at the bottom, but I don't know how they come up with this. I assume it's the same concept, but I
In which
did just see
client?
it in demos just
Okay,
now. So that was interesting, but I couldn't copy paste it. So I had to type it all over again, which was
really?
interesting.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
annoying.
again, I think then I realized you had to swipe it or something. No, it has the same questions. Yeah, and then I went to the Nostr directory, which I didn't know existed. It's
Yep,
fabulous,
that's a
except
good resource.
for example, I know that there's a lot of amazing women builders and people like Caitlin that are on there and Audrey and etc. But they didn't show up like compared to my Twitter versus the Nostr that I'm already like it didn't show that they were there and what was their pub key. So that was kind of interesting. Like or maybe I'm already following them because I did my research beforehand. Like understanding who I should be following was still a little. Okay, I
Yeah,
really bombarded you with
no,
3 different questions.
I want to address the Nostr Connect. I think, and I'm not certain of this, but I think in order for you to appear there is that you have to connect your Twitter account, authenticate with Nostr Connect, and then link your NPub to it in order to appear there.
Oh,
So maybe they didn't do that. I'm not
the
100% sure.
authenticate part. Okay,
Yeah, if that's correct, but I did it a long time
I
ago, and I
haven't.
remember I had
Maybe
to
that's.
really. So I wonder
I mean,
if
I
I
have a
search for
pub key,
you,
but
you'll come up.
I don't think I've authenticated it.
Yeah, if I recall back when I did it, that was part of the experience. Then you would send a tweet out saying, "Hey, I'm authenticating my Twitter account with Nostr Connect. This is my NPub," and then it would basically index that so that if someone looks for it on Nostr Connect, they would see, okay, Eric on his Twitter account has already authenticated, so now we can display his NPub. Unless anything has changed, I don't know if they're like scanning people's bios to link to XPub or something, but I would guess that maybe the reason they didn't appear is because they haven't done that,
Got
but
it.
I'm not certain of that. That's just my guess based on the information I have. And you also asked about Zaps. So Zaps are, for the people that don't know, this little thunder icon here or lightning icon. If you tap this on most clients, you can basically zap or send Satoshis, which are the units that make up 1 Bitcoin. You could send these to a user and then it'll go to their Lightning wallet. But in order for you to do that, a couple things have to happen. One, the other person has to basically link a Lightning wallet to their Nostr account, and you have to also connect Lightning wallet with your Nostr account. So every client has a different way of managing this. There are not all Lightning wallets are created equal, which I'm sure John's is very, very familiar. Every Lightning wallet is a little bit different. Some of them support kind of different things that
Yeah.
are required. So I can say that with Damus, you want to connect what's called a lightning address. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right terminology. Yeah, lightning address or LN URL. So this is kind of like an email address that you have to basically input. And what it does is it's designed to be human readable. So it could be like eric@ln.tips, but not all Lightning wallets give you the ability to generate what's called a Lightning address or an LN URL. And
But that's the question, because now I was at the other through my browser and my wallet didn't show up. Is it because I only put it on Damos and not on the other one? Like on Snort?
maybe,
Somebody told me that I didn't have a wallet connected and I thought I did.
yeah, I'm not sure. This is like NIP7. I'm not sure if NIP7 is if it's
Got it.
connected at the client level, or if it's connected to the account level. Yeah, I don't know. I think I can say that in my experience, when I go from Snort to Damus, my zapping is done through different clients. So like I
Got it.
zap on the web with Albi, but on Damus, when I zap, I use Blue Wallet. So I've basically
it.
connected 2 different Lightning wallets to do the same function. So I
Yes.
don't think that necessarily, if you just update your Lightning wallet with Damus, it automatically translates to all clients that you connect to with your account.
Thank you for answering that.
Sure. Yeah, the Zaps are a little bit advanced, and they're kind of still. I mean, they work, but
Yeah.
there's like a lot of. I had to kind of mess with it a lot to get it to work a while ago, but I finally have a pretty smooth experience using Albi on web because Albi generates a Lightning address, and it's really easy to just plug that in, and then it's a nice extension that you can use very easily on web, and then there's a way for you to connect, like if you have Blue Wallet, for example, you can connect Albi to Blue Wallet using LND. This is maybe getting a little bit advanced, but and then you can basically use the same balance across your phone and your Albi extension.
I got a couple take a pause for a little bit from this like one-on-one. There's some comments that have come through. I want to like read some of them out.
Sure.
Yes, so there seems to be some questions around images and media. How
Yeah.
does Nostr handle those things, right? Because in this comment from JPL, it says it's amazing that the architecture lets allows for large video files. But there's another one, which is is it possible to include links to video files uploaded to IPFS, for example? Do you have any thoughts on that one? Can you give some perspective?
Well, I can give some perspective on the tools that I use to embed video files. And I can also say that some of the clients, I've noticed that all the clients handle one, attaching images or attaching media in a different way. Some clients let you actually attach it within their user interface. Others let you copy and paste a link to a client, and then it'll try to display it after you send your message. So they all handle it a little bit differently. To the specific question about IPFS, I don't know enough about IPFS to say whether or not it can be integrated. So I can't answer that question. But I use nostr.build, nostr.build, nostr.build. And whenever I need to post an image, I upload. It's kind of like just an image uploader, but it's
Yeah, I saw
Nostr
that. That was very cool.
optimized. Yeah, that's what I use because I find that it's consistent across clients. If I attach a nostr.build image link for whatever reason, it tends to work really well. With Snort is really nice that there's like an attach icon when you send a message that you can just click on that, select the image or the piece of media that you want to upload from your hard drive, and then it'll embed it and it'll display very nicely on Snort. But I noticed when I open it on a client like Damus, it doesn't necessarily display it. It just has a link to it. So there's a little bit of an inconsistency there. So that's why I use nostr.build.
Okay. Let's see a few others. What do you call the equivalent of
Of what? I missed it.
So I had a conversation with Alex this morning about this, but super important question. Super important question. What do you call the equivalent of tweeting on Nostr?
Oh my gosh.
So Charles Stack says, many people says post. What do you guys take? What do you call it?
I say messages, but I like posts better. But yeah, I think we need something a little bit kind of like a verb that's unique and memorable.
I saw somebody say notes, and then I was thinking, well, tweet, the birds tweet. Like, what do ostriches do? And apparently they boom. Have you ever heard that? They boom.
No.
And so imagine some sort of verb that had something like that connected to it.
Yeah, this is great if you're a UX writer.
I am trying to make it popular. Well, I mean, like 2 people know it so far, so maybe it's gonna be a few more now. I'm trying to put us in the direction of noosting. Let's noost.
Noost?
I just like the way it sounds. You tweet it, you noosed it. I mean, I kind of like it.
I need to sit on that one.
Well, I mean, like an ostrich egg. But like that just shows, it's very like open territory here. No one
Yeah.
knows,
Yeah.
or no one knows anything about.
Note.
If you
That
come
was
up with the
failed.
right one, this is your chance to be like a Nostr legend because you'll be the person that makes
Nostr
up the verb.
version?
Yeah,
Nostr
you can be.
poster. Oh,
What's
look,
that?
someone said Nostr poster. Nostr
Nostr
poster.
poster.
Nostr
I like the
poster.
ring.
Yeah. Yeah. Notes. I like calling things notes because it's like events are a bit kind of like very technical.
Yeah,
A note is kind of cool, but to note someone, it's not so sure.
yeah. That's why I use messages.
So A
Just Google.
Blaze 1713 said that they just Googled what Sam not.
I did the same. I was like, something has
Yeah,
to be like it.
yeah. There was another one. Someone's. I guess this is more of a comment. And maybe this is an idea for someone out there. What I would like to see is a scientific paper publishing journal based on Nostr. That would be awesome and epic.
Oh,
Finally, some freedom
wow.
of speech, scientific, and that's kind of funny because I just censored myself. But anyway, in scientific and academic discourse.
Somebody
Yeah.
was working on an ebook repository on Nostr. I wish I had the resource for that off my head, but kind of similar. I guess that kind of reminds me of what's it called? Sci-Hub. I think there's a young lady who started kind of like a pirated version or like a free and open source version of scientific papers and knowledge that anyone can access. And yeah, it's an awesome initiative. And yeah, Nostr would be an excellent protocol to build that on.
Someone said, JPL says, I would call them noosts and I guess not. I don't
And
know.
and
I
what's
actually
the
kind of
second
like
part?
that.
I don't know why I find these things funny. I'm dumb like that.
You
Okay.
got a noosed in that.
Yeah, noosted. Yeah, it sounds like boost though, but
Yeah.
sit on it. Sit on it. Maybe it'll hatch.
That's a good one.
Oh,
Well,
good.
so what did we expect with the hackathon? Like, what are the questions so far as well from the community that was, because I was seeing that there's a version for like a GitHub, but on Nostr, there's like different projects that have come up that are happening. Maybe we can link to the list of projects so people can see them.
Yeah, for sure. I'll drop
Yeah,
that
that'd
down
be
in the
cool.
comments, and maybe Eric, you can talk about some of the so you did cover some of them, but the design challenges. Could you go over that a little bit?
Yeah. Let me see if I can actually pull them up. Maybe that'd be helpful.
Sure.
Um,
Anyone? And I'll add it to the stream.
okay, am I still sharing my screen or no?
Yep, you are. You got them.
Okay, so you guys can see my screen?
Oops. Okay. No, not there. There we go. Yep. Could you,
Okay, so,
make it could you zoom in a little bit more, please? Yeah, perfect.
okay. So if you go to nostrdesign.com and you have to scroll down a little bit, but if we scroll down, we could see 3 of the design challenges. So let's start with the first one. Is design challenge number 1, relay management. And I'll drop a link in the chat so people can follow along.
Already done.
Ooh.
Already done.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
So sweet. So one of the first, and I think really one of the most important design challenges is relay management. And why is this important? Because as we just went over, relays are one of the core backbones of the Nostr protocol, but there isn't yet a central place or even best practices for how to organize and display relays. And even things like, how do you distinguish a paid versus an unpaid relay? Why should somebody be a part of a paid relay? What are the benefits of it? All that stuff is kind of in the air. If we can think about the role that design can play in simplifying this, it'll have a major impact on Nostr. It'll make it a lot easier, a lot simpler for people to connect to relays. It will explain what relays are, why they're important. So this design challenges explains kind of what I just said. Relays are the core of the Nostr protocol. You can set up your own with your own rules. You can join other people's. You can require people to pay. You can have a relay that has a whitelist. There's all this stuff you can do. But how can we kind of improve the experience of managing relays across clients? So that's a very, very open-ended question, and it's complex. And there's some at the bottom here, there's a section for what does the community said about relays. So this is actual users that are basically noosting their thoughts out about relays. And this is basically free user research. So like one person is saying like, how might, Amethyst redesign its relay screen? And they posted a screenshot. I'm sorry it's so small, but they posted a screenshot here that has how Amethyst is displaying their relays. And this person's encouraging us to think about what might be some improvements that we can make to this user interface to make it clear. Over here, we have another user. They're confused about what do these colors mean? What do the color ratings mean for these relays? How do Nostr users assess different relays? So this is, pure UX feedback. Matthew Pines is, I believe he's a fellow at the Bitcoin Policy Institute. So he writes a lot of kind of legal papers and stuff like that. So this is somebody that's not a developer, not a designer. This is a real user that is just asking a question that everyday users have. So, this is something that we as designers can look at and be like, this is our area of expertise. If you're a designer, even if you're a developer, because you spend a lot of time developing things, you have an idea about what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, what do these colors mean? What additional context is missing from this? Another noose here. Relay seems to be the biggest mystery to figure out now. This is basically Marina's question here. How many should one connect to? Which ones? Paid, free, mix of both? Is it better to trust a client dev instead of making your own decisions? What are the best materials covering the topic? So this person's saying he doesn't even know where to start. Is there a website that has a list of all the relays and explains what are the benefits, what are the cons, data, metrics? This person's saying, can you give me some of that? And he's throwing out their questions here. And yeah, you can see, there's a lot of people that are asking questions about relays. Are there any mechanisms to keep bots off Nostr or entirely for specific relays? Maybe that's something that someone can design is, some type of bot management system or a tool that helps, prevent bots on public relays. This is BTC Sessions. He's showing an example of, he's complimenting good design here. He's saying that, he's running a Start9 node, and they recently pushed a relay update that allows people to designate relays as private with whitelisted pub keys. So Start9 has already done some relay management here. They have a UI that you can config, whitelist, pub keys. So this is kind of making a private relay, and that's awesome. So maybe somebody could, look at Start9 and get an idea for how they've designed, a private relay management and a whitelist here. Well, how can that be improved, or how can we kind of take that and maybe mix it up a little bit and build a tool that's useful for the community? And then this is another piece where somebody is complimenting. I love this part of Amethyst where it shows the relays I'm running on and the posts, the notes that have gone through it. So this person, they like the extra context here. So this is a user that's complimenting the UI decision to show numerically.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, how many posts they've, broadcasted to each relay. So that's already some alpha that we as designers can kind of take right there.
Is that from the same person, like the post that she or he posted, or?
No, these are all different people.
No, meaning like the one that you just showed,
this one?
about Amethyst.
Yeah.
Hoami, is that, like when it says 6 posts received, is that he posted, or received in total to the wine relay, for example?
I believe it's their individual post to that
so
relay, because
Nos.lol didn't do a good job, quote unquote.
Yeah, or it looks like they've removed this one, because you see how it says add. So maybe they used it once, they sent one post and they removed it.
Good point.
Yeah, that's my kind of take from the UI. But even then, the fact that these are two different actions and they're both primary buttons, that might be something that we can improve. But it looks like they added these. They might have been testing them and they removed them. And yeah, over here is.
And the followers and follows look interesting too, although I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's.
And Amethyst is a client, correct? Is that what we're saying here?
Amethyst is a Droid client.
Got it.
So yeah, this is one design challenge with some. I think there's a lot that people can do with relay management, and there's a lot of different directions that you can take relay management. It could be as simple as, what are the best pieces of data that we should display to the users when looking at relays, or it could be something as complex as this is a tool that anyone can use to set up their own relay and create a whitelisting system. The sky's the limit with relay management, but you can find this design challenge on nostrdesign.com, and John's will put a link to it in the chat. Should I go over some of the other ones, or do you think that we should maybe pivot to another discussion?
Well, can I ask you this thing about prerequisites for the sci-fi idea of cyberspace to become real? Is that like, it's on trending? You have it. I think it's the third. What does that mean? Is that like one of the projects that they're suggesting? Because that is a fascinating and true challenge we used to have, right?
Yeah, this is a really cool project. It looks super interesting. So on Bolt Fun, you can post about your idea. We have this concept of stories. It's not necessarily a Nostr post as yet, or Noost. It's not a Noost yet, but we do kind of like Noost it out from our Bolt Fun account to give you some more visibility. And the comment thread down below, maybe you could pull that up. The comment thread down below, those are all comments from Nostr. So yeah, you can see Eric basically making a post there, and it's going to, he's going to be noosting it. He's going to be noosting it. So like, this is just one example. This is just one example of a project within the hackathon that is kind of like talking about their idea and stuff, and really encourage people to, post about your idea. It helps get it some visibility. We'll feature it in some newsletters as well, and try to get you some more exposure if you're looking for team members, or if you just want people to give you comments and stuff. Write that up in your story, and we'll be able to kind of like spread that around. This seemed to be quite a popular one.
It seems like a very ambitious concept versus like a specific design challenge. So it's an interesting combination of both, which is really valuable.
Exactly. And we're seeing and we're seeing also a comeback for custom cursors on websites. So which they do have. So you get to be all creative even on the cursor level. Well, we got about 5 more minutes left. I would like to just go over some housekeeping stuff, if you don't mind, folks.
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, so Nostr Hack, right? We kicked off on the 10th of March, and it's going to be going on until the 24th. And, we've had some great supporters for this, so I just want to give them a shout out. Of course, the Nostr design community. We got some... Okay, sorry, I got distracted. Someone said Nosterverse. Now, I'm really excited.
I love it.
But yeah, we got a Nostr design community. Eric especially has done a tremendous job in helping organize this hackathon. We got Wolf as a sponsor. Let's get into them a little bit. So Wolf is our title sponsor, and for anyone at this hackathon who is thinking about, what are the next steps after you build this like really cool stuff, you're encouraging people to Noost in a very user friendly way. You're building developer tools for Noosting and Nostr. Well, what's the next step? Well, if you want to turn this into a business, into a startup, Wolf is the place to go. You can check them out at wolfnyc.com. They're an accelerator. They take you at very early stages. Reach out to them. And yeah, they've got a fantastic, a beautiful, oh my gosh, an amazing office in New York City.
And they bring you to New York, don't they, for this?
Exactly. So if someone wants to check out NYC and be part of that accelerator, they've got like a bunch of different programs as well for design, compliance, all some of the stuff that you kind of have to think about in in the formation of your company and all that. On top of that, they have a pretty generous they fund you pretty generously as well. And I won't get into too much of the details in case I butcher it, but it is a tremendous thing for the space. They are really supporting Nostr and excited to see what comes of it, and connection with Bitcoin as well, Bitcoin and Lightning. So yeah, definitely give them a check out. Of course, got to give a shout out. Marina, you'll probably be happy that I do this. Yes, okay, finally. Peak Shift is a venture and design studio. Marina, maybe you could talk about this one. I don't like talking about this.
Well, it's the parent company that is creating both fun and all these new projects that are coming about. We do research, design. You can come and have some really people who have worked in the industry for a lot of time. They're Bitcoiners for forever. And it really helps you think about, sometimes you should stop building and maybe think about what you're putting out there, because you say, well, if you build it, they will come, and that's not necessarily the case. So I think sometimes we have to have that perspective, and John's, myself, we've had that sort of background. So we hope that potentially this could be a really valuable resource for builders who want to ship products faster.
Thanks for that, Marina. Saved me there. Yeah, I tend not to talk about it too much, but
you put me on the spot, but I think I did it okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, we also have sponsors. Spiral. Spiral is working on making Bitcoin more than an investment. That's what they have on the website. I think that's a very succinct kind of description. They're doing a tremendous amount of work in the community to fund open source designers and developers. They got a grant program there, which is open. They've also got like a bunch of other projects like LDK, BDK, that they're also funding. It's these tools.
And they did a women in Bitcoin research too.
Exactly. Eric, you're also part of the Bitcoin design community, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So
it's
they help out a lot.
These little pieces, the Bitcoin design community, LDK, BDK, they form like very useful components for people trying to build Bitcoin use cases. So if you're interested in utilizing some of those tools, you could check out the list of projects that they're funding there on their website. Lightning browser extension. This is Albi. That's another one of our sponsors. We've been great friends with the team over there for a while now, since before the inception. They're also part of the Bitcoin design community. But what Albi does is something super useful for the experience of Nostr, right? People are copying and pasting keys onto different websites. What Albi does, it allows you, it's a browser extension, it allows you to have your Nostr keys in there, and then you're able to interact with different, with the website. You can click a button and then Albi pops up instead of giving that website your private keys, which, a couple months ago, there was one client which was compromised in a way, and a bunch of people's private keys got leaked out. So please be careful of that. Don't just blindly copy and paste your private key. It's a bad practice. Use Albi instead. And Brad Mills has really, I think he was one of our first sponsors for the hackathon. So he's an entrepreneur and he focuses on Bitcoin. He's been around for quite a while. He's quite let's say prolific character in the space, and we give him some major thanks. Check out his website, bradmills.ca. We would like also shout out to some of the community partners. Again, Nostr Design Community, if it wasn't for them, it would not be possible. Eric is the man there, shout out to him. Nostr Rica, it's a conference happening in Costa Rica. I'll get on that a bit more.
I so want to go to.
Well, you know, you
They
just want nice
closed.
weather, that's it.
Hey, if I speak
just want
Spanish, do I win like points? No.
We'll see. It's happening this week, but I'll get into it. Connect the World podcast. Shout out to them. And the Sats by Hackathon by PlebLab. They also have a track dedicated to Nostr, and you can enter your projects from that hackathon into Bolt Fun as well. A little bit about Nostr Rica. It's coming up. It's I think this weekend, right, Eric?
March
Starts
19th.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kicks off on Sunday. It's in Costa Rica. So if you're up for it, book your tickets quickly. It's on 19th and 21st. And they also have a hackerspace, which will be open from before the conference until the 24th. So when Nostr Hack ends, that's when the hackerspace closes. And it's a physical hackerspace next to the conference venue. So yeah, definitely check it out. Book your tickets if they're still available, and get to Nostr Rica. And
it's going to be streamed too.
It is going to be streamed. That is very true.
Yes.
All the links
you can
are
register
on,
for free.
Exactly. All the links are on the website there. The other one is final words. Registration is still open if you want to participate, if you like what you see here. Check out the tournament page, register, get some team members, check out those design challenges. There's going to be some dev posts also submitted as well. So yeah, just join the fun. We said Bolt Fun is mandatory. So yeah, hop on in, guys.
And tomorrow we have two speakers, David King and Max Webster. And on Wednesday we have Ben Ark, correct? So stay tuned.
True. That is very true. We'll be posting a bit more about that in the coming hours, I guess. Thank you so much, everybody, for
Thank you, Eric.
participating, for watching, for hanging around.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.